Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Within Range Coaching Podcast. I'm Ranger, a certified holistic success coach, and in this podcast, I break down the journey entrepreneurs face as they start their organizations, overcome roadblocks in their way, and create an impact that lasts. We talk with entrepreneurs, nonprofit leaders, and purpose-driven community members just like you. Together, we learn how to grow our impact and develop ourselves as the people behind the mission. My intention is to help more people. And remember, if you're curious about expanding your impact, growing a community, or defining your mission, vision, or values, we can chat off the record. You can find my info in the show notes or at my website, withinrangecoaching.com. We're also looking to build our sponsor community with organizations and individuals who align with our values of fearless innovation, social responsibility, and courageous candor. If you're interested in helping us highlight individuals doing great work in the world and share these values, reach out to me directly at ranger@withinrangecoaching.com. I know you're just as eager to get started as I am, so let's jump right in. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Within Range Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Ranger, and today we're talking to Victoria Storm from the House of Voodoo Reptile Sanctuary in Payson, Arizona. Victoria is one of my hosts during my walk across America, where I got to check out their rescue, see the amazing animals that they have, everything from the typical ball pythons to bearded dragons, all the way up to small crocodilians and rattlesnakes. They have a really unique system going on there, really unique setup, and they have some really big dreams and goals in terms of opening up some educational facilities in the Payson area. And they were recently awarded a $5,000 moonshot grant from a local organization in Arizona. So they got some really great things going on. They're not just sitting there talking about it, they're out there making it happen. So without further ado, here is our discussion with Victoria Storm of the House of Voodoo Reptile Sanctuary. Awesome. Victoria, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's been a crazy day already, but doing good.
I bet. Well, I'm sure we'll kind of get into it in just a second, but I know that you're a vet tech.
Yes.
So you do a lot of animal things in your life, but could you just kind of give us a quick, when I say a lot of animal things, what exactly that means?
Yeah. So I work at Maine Animal Hospital Veterinarian Clinic here in Payson, Arizona, but I also am the director at the House of Voodoo Reptile Sanctuary. We are actually Gila County's only 501c nonprofit reptile rescue and sanctuary, housing a little bit over 100 different animals at our facility.
Yeah, and everybody knows already, I guess, but this is part of my Walk Across America series, and I did actually get to stay with you guys and the Reptile Sanctuary over when I was passing through Payson. And I thought it's always so interesting seeing how other rescues are run and seeing like the different, I guess, like focuses or what you guys are comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I ran the Northern California Herp Society, we wanted nothing to do with HOTS, like venomous species. We didn't want any rattlesnakes. We didn't want anything crazy. No crocodilians. But you guys have just that. So when it comes to the animals that you guys have, like, what is your mission with what you do? Because I know you said that adoption isn't the biggest focus for you guys when I was there as compared to NCHS when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So when I came up with and started the House of Voodoo Reptile Sanctuary, is mostly about taking care of animals and rehabilitating them and educating about them. So that way we have less of these particular species being surrendered to facilities, because with any type of, I should say, hobby or any type of pet industry business, reptiles are very dominant and overpopulation. And people are buying them bearded dragons for $39.99 when they're this little and have no idea how to take care of them or what to do. And so then they get surrendered to facilities, and not even a lot of times facilities. A lot of times they get surrendered to small rescues. And sometimes the rescues get overwhelmed as well. And I feel like through education and conservation, can we really teach our society how to properly care for these animals so that way we have less in the rescue industry? And it's the same with the furry rescues, the humane societies and stuff. They're promoting, spay and neuter, so that way there's less puppies out there being surrendered. It's kind of the same concept, except we're not really trying to get you to spay and neuter your ball python. We're just trying to get you to understand what it takes to take care of a ball python or bearded dragon. And so, yeah, adoption is not our main focus. Mostly it's education, conservation, and rehabilitation.
Yeah. And when it comes to that, because when I had an episode a few months back with Floyd Felines, they're a cat specific rescue out of Georgia. And that was their big thing, was spay and neuter, spay and neuter, spay and neuter, which is, like you were saying, very dominant with cats and dogs because they're very prolific and they're very out there doing their thing. But when it comes to reptiles and amphibians and even invertebrates like spiders, scorpions, a lot of times people, it sounds like what you're saying is people just don't know how to take care of them, or they really don't know what they're getting themselves into.
I feel like they don't really know what they're getting themselves into. And there's some really great pet stores out there, genre-specific pet stores for reptiles and exotics, that they do give you the whole 9 yards. They do give you the whole speech, try to educate you as best as you can. But still, at the same point in time, those reptile stores are out to make money, and they're not necessarily concerned about the long term for the reptile that they're selling. So basically, you have, say, Petco or PetSmart. Even though PetSmart is one of our amazing donors and they do a lot of great work, still a lot of their employees don't 100% know how to take care of a bearded dragon in detail. So they're selling these bearded dragons for $39.99. People are like, yeah, I got $40. I can buy that. And I'm going to go put them in a shoebox for the next few years. Because then they realize, oh, tanks are $300. Lights are $60. Buying a setup for lights is a little bit more than that. Bedding, substrate, daily food pyramids, vegetables, calcium powder, UVB specific, mercury vapor bulbs, heating pads, or heat lamps, whatever. It goes well beyond than just buying that $40 bearded dragon. It can go into the $500-$600 range to start a new bearded dragon habitat if you don't already have the stuff. You can probably drop it to the $300 range if you're buying used equipment here and there where you can find them. But again, that mindset that people have when buying these reptiles at pet stores is, oh, $50, I can buy that. And then they don't think about the long term in it all. And so I feel like if I can educate people, hey, it's cool. It's perfectly okay for you to go out and buy from these stores and these animals, so long as you understand what it takes to actually take care of this animal. So many times all of our bearded dragons at our facility have some sort of health issue or another, metabolic bone disease, neurological disorders, liver, kidney failures. So much they come to us in these dire medical conditions because they were purchased without proper knowledge of how to care for the animals.
Yeah. And I know I always would joke around with people that, because lizards, snake, like they can be very cheap. You can find them on Craigslist, like you're saying, $39.99. But people will be giving these guys away on Facebook, Craigslist, on all these different things. And I got my bearded dragon from a friend who had gotten hers in like a 2-for-1 deal. I don't know what kind of pet store sells beardies for 2-for-1. And then they're like, you can keep them together.
Yeah.
She got them home, realized they're not supposed to do that. And then said, hey, Ranger, do you want this free lizard? I was like, of course I want a free lizard. I'm losing money by not taking it.
Yeah.
And then you get it. And it's like, okay, now you need the tank. Like you were saying, now it's another $600-$700 just for the startup equipment.
Yeah.
So people just really don't know what they're getting themselves into with it.
Nope. And it's the same with ball pythons. I always recommend, if people want to be a new reptile owner, I will always tell people I start out with a ball python because they're not as high maintenance as bearded dragons. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard and I've talked to people, other reptile people in the reptile community that said, oh yeah, no, bearded dragons are great starters. I'm like, bearded dragons are so difficult for someone that's just starting out. Not necessarily that the people can't do it, but there's so much entailed to taking care of them that versus a ball python, yeah, you've got to make sure you have still the proper lights, the proper substrate, the proper space, and feeding them once a week. And then some people have a hard time feeding. People are more inclined to feed the bearded dragon, thinking it's easier to feed the bearded dragon than the snake because they don't want to feed the dead mouse. But in reality, you only have to feed that snake once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, and make sure that their humidity and they have water and the temperature. And I feel like a ball python is a lot easier of a starter reptile than any type of lizard or any type of animal, even tortoises. Ball pythons are so low maintenance and so hardy that I feel like if you're just starting out and you're just learning, a ball python is the perfect one to start with.
Yeah. Ball pythons, leopard geckos, bearded dragon, like they're all kind of touted as like the big three from what I've seen. And over time being in the rescue industry, like, I don't know, bearded dragons, the heart, typically when we would get in ball pythons, they were usually okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like no no long-term issues. Even if they weren't eating for a while, they weren't being cared for properly. But the bearded dragons, like you were saying, they'd come in, their backs, like their backbone looks like an S, like a zigzag, like you were saying, metabolic bone disease, all these crazy things. And I don't know, I always touted bearded dragons as the best beginner one because they're so handleable. And then seeing how people kind of screw up with caring for them, it was like, wait a second, I feel like this isn't quite what we should be touting almost.
And the same with leopard geckos too. Up until recently, leopard geckos and bear dragons were our most surrendered animal at the sanctuary. Now we have like so many ball pythons, it's not even funny. But we've had a lot of sick leopard geckos come in. And the hard thing is once leopard geckos get to a certain point, do you want to go back up? Once leopard geckos get to a certain point, they're not savable, unfortunately. It takes lots and lots of medical care to save them. And I'll be 100% honest on here. We have gotten some really, really sick leopard geckos in, and we just were not able to save them. No matter if I was syringe feeding them, like giving them water, giving them medications, we were just not able to save them. We do have our success stories. We do have some that were rescued from a pet store that were skin and bones when we got them, and now they're beautiful, big, fluffy tails, and not fluffy, but big, giant, squishy tails, and are all happy and looking good. But leopard geckos and bearded dragons and stuff are actually our very top. Those are the top three. Those are the top three in the industry trade. Or we can even go bigger, though. A big one in the industry trade is retics and Burmese pythons, and people not really realizing how big these guys get and sitting there thinking, oh, yeah, that'd be really cool to have one of those. And then when they get 17 feet, they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with it.
Same line with sulcatas.
Yep. Same with sulcatas. And used to be you could buy a sulcata from a guy underneath a tent on the side of the road for $29. That's actually a funny story. My husband did that, 30 some odd years ago. When he was a kid, he went and bought his mom a little baby sulcata from a dude on the side of the road. And then his mom still has it. The sulcata's huge. It takes 4 guys to move them. So that's a really good success story for a tortoise, but that's like 10% out of the hundreds of them that are sold.
Hey everyone, just a quick message. You know that my mission with this podcast is to share stories of influence and impact so that we can help more people help more people. But to do that, I need your support. Please rate, review, and share this podcast. If I could ask for just one favor, it's to just leave a review. It takes about 10 seconds and a few clicks, but it means the world to me and could inspire someone else to make a difference. Thank you so much, and now back to the show. Yeah, and kind of moving into, because what you kind of told me, I think right before we hopped on, is that you guys just got a huge influx of ball pythons. And when I worked with NCHS, we would get those every once in a while. Hoarding situations, failed rescues,
Breeders,
animal abuse, breeders, So like, what is it typically when you get in animals? What are typically the reasons that people drop them off with you guys?
So a lot of the times, a lot of the animals we've been getting is either we just can't take care of them anymore, we don't have the time, we don't have the space, or they're very, very ill. So it's usually a very right even down the middle. It's either they're very sick, I don't know what to do for him anymore, I can't help them, or it's I don't have the time, he's getting too big, I just can't take care of him anymore. And so like we're right even, right in the middle, and it's I'm not here to judge anybody. Like you do what you can and you get what you got. And I'm here to just help your animal. But it can be frustrating sometimes because there's some that I've had to put down. And I sat there and said, I just don't know why you didn't reach out to somebody sooner. We had a bearded dragon that we got in that lived in a shoebox, quite literally a shoebox for 2 years. A very good, kind-hearted woman took him from the previous owner. It was, I guess, a friend or a friend's brother or something like that, took him to try to save him. She had him for about 3 or 4 months till she decided, this is too much for me, I can't do this, and then decided to contact us. And at that point, we had him for all of a month when we decided, hey, his quality of life is absolutely horrible. It really is time. And we had to humanely euthanize him. And the sad part is that sometimes people are embarrassed to have to surrender their animals. And I would like people to just know that don't be embarrassed by it. It sucks. It's horrible. It's a really bad feeling to have to get rid of something that you really do love. But for the best quality of life for the animal, find somebody that can help you with him. If medical bills, if it's too expensive, reptiles have a really high medical bill when you have to take them, if and when you can find a vet that can take them.
Yeah, that's something that I realized was kind of an issue because, I mean, the NCHS is based out of Sacramento, and there's a bunch of veterinarians out there, but very few take in exotics. And even just, I was with a friend the other day, and I guess a goat she had got sick, and she took it to the vet, and she had to pay an exotic fee.
Yep.
So it's like anything that's not her cat or dog is going to have all these extra things stacked on top of each other.
Yep.
So I have a $400 photo of my bearded dragon, an X-ray, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, I know. I get it. We're the only clinic here in Payson. My clinic that I work at is the only clinic here in Payson that sees exotic animals outside of being like farm animals. We have our farm vet, but like for guinea pigs, rabbits, snakes, lizards, certain types of birds, we're the only clinic here in Payson that sees those exotic animals. And, our initial exam fee is a little bit higher than, it's just a little bit higher than the normal exam fee for a cat or a dog. And that's just because it takes a different kind of medicine to treat and takes longer too. Whereas a doctor can go into a room with a cat or a dog and typically be out in 20 to 30 minutes. With a reptile, she has to do a whole different types of things for exams. And so she'll be in there for 40 minutes to an hour. And then that's not even if we have to do any type of after treatment or medications or fluids or x-rays and things like that. It's a completely different set of veterinary medicine that you have to do with reptiles. So I don't think people really think that through either, because reptile veterinary medicine is not widely talked about. And it's not. It's you think, again, you're going into this pet store with these blinders on, thinking, yeah, cool, I'm going to get this snake. It's going to be easy. And not realizing that if the snake develops any type of infections or any types of breathing problems, any type of bone diseases, that now your vet bill is going to be twice as much as it would be if it was a cat or a dog. Those go back into those expenses that people don't think about when they get these animals.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like people typically kind of stray away from even thinking about that because, they don't want to think about their pet getting hurt or sick or injured. But just like with people, like, I don't know, I'm really big on either figure out pet insurance if it works for you, if it makes sense, or just have an emergency fund specifically for the animal. You don't have to think about it separate from your other finances as much as you can. So
100%. One thing that I tell a lot of people, so if people listen to this, it might have helped them on care credit. If you can get approved for care credit, it gives you a little credit card and you can use that at your clinics if your clinic accepts it. And I've seen a lot of people get saved having some really big surgeries because of that care credit card.
Yeah, because most vet clinics, you have to pay up front right away, right? Is that how it is? Yeah.
As soon as you're done with services. So you come in, you should already know that you're going to be paying an exam fee. And then whatever treatments after that, if we decide to do fluids, medications, any types of vaccines, you typically there's very, very few clinics that actually do like payment programs or pay later billing. No veterinarian clinics that I know of actually do any type of payments or billing. And so the best thing to do is to find that pet insurance or find that care credit card, or like you said, have some money saved aside for, emergency purposes. That's the best thing. We've had dogs come in here that we've had to do $4,000 surgeries on. Not often, but it happens. Or sometimes we have to send them to the valley for the emergency clinics. And we send animals down to the Arizona exotic clinic if it's a reptile or an exotic that we can't take care of up here because we just don't have the necessary equipment.
Yeah. So vet bills are definitely a big expense. And I know that we're running kind of low on time, but I have two more quick questions for you. When it comes to running the rescue, like what would you say is the biggest problem that you kind of face on a daily, or that's like, what do you kind of face yourself?
Honestly, the biggest thing, and I know it sounds horrible, but the biggest thing that we face daily is our expenses. It's a $700 electric bill because of all the special lights that we have to have on. It's getting about $600 to $700 worth of food, whether it's mice or bearded dragon food or pig feed or tortoise food, spending about $500 every couple weeks on food, if not more than that. Our medical expenses, I'm very appreciative that I work at where I work because I'm able to get animals in when I need to, but I still have to pay for the medicines and stuff. And we have a good $3,000 vet bill we have here that we pay on slowly. So it's mostly trying to get the financial support that we need to keep our rescue functioning. And we do good. We do get donations. We're not big. It's not like we have 20 million sponsors and things like that. And once in a while, we have a really good couple months where we win a grant or we win a donation or a business. For example, ACE Hardware up here decided July was going to be the House of Voodoo Roundup month where they ask everybody who's buying something, hey, do you want to round up your change to support our sanctuary? And they just raised $1,300 for us. And so it's really amazing that we have this funding coming in, but I'm going to be honest, it's going to go within 2 weeks. It's going to be new shelves units, new habitats, new bedding, new food, more food. It's just going to keep going. And that's just it. We just got to keep persevering over it no matter what we do. Again, it's why I work at a clinic, so that way I can kind of offset the cost a little bit. Another struggle that we really do have is though finding volunteers, people that really actually want to dedicate their time to these animals daily, if not weekly, trying to get people to come in and help take care of the animals in the times that I can't because I'm working a part-time job, or sometimes, depending on how busy we are, sometimes I come in and do full-time. But it's trying to find somebody that's willing to come over and do all the tedious, necessary stuff. I get so many people like, yeah, I want to volunteer. I want to come do events with you. But I'm like, there's a lot more than just events. It comes into, I need volunteers that are willing to clean dirty, yucky habitats. I need volunteers that are willing to learn how to handle rattlesnakes so that way they know how to go into the cages and water them properly or clean their tanks appropriately. I need people that are willing to spend 2 hours, if not 3 hours a day in the reptile room feeding the bearded dragons. And so trying to find people that are dedicated to doing that for free is actually really hard. We're hoping one day we'll be able to actually pay people, but right now we're just small and we're just building.
And then just with the ACE Hardware thing, how did that turn up? Did they just kind of come to you, or were you kind of reaching out to folks to do that? Or because I haven't heard people use that as a fundraising tool before.
So I didn't know ACE Hardware did it. So I guess Paul's ACE Hardware, which is a franchise of ACE Hardware, they do a thing where they select a charity every month in the summer to do the summer roundup. And I guess people had nominated us, people that knew about us in our community said, hey, you should try them. So then they called us and said, hey, we want to choose you for July. And so all of July, they just contacted us. I sent over our information. They promoted, they had their cashiers at after every single purchase. Hey, do you want to donate to the Voodoo Reptiles today? Payson's only reptile sanctuary. It was so funny because one of the cashiers came up to me. She's like, I gotta tell you this story. She's like, I was sitting there she's like, a customer was asking a customer if he wanted to donate. And I said, do you want to donate to the Voodoo Reptile Foundation? And we were dying. It was hilarious. But people donated. And it really just shows me, it really actually warms my heart because we're a very weird, unique group of people. We have a very unusual name. But the fact that our Payson community and our Gila County community is so open and welcoming to us and not talking down to us or making us feel bad about anything, a lot of people really support and love what we do.
And that's great. And just to kind of wrap up the conversation, if folks that aren't in Payson or wherever they are, if they want to find you guys or get in contact or donate or follow you on socials, what would be the best way for people to do so?
So we are more dominantly on our Facebook page. So you can look us up on the House of Voodoo. It's the German spelling of house, the like fancy HAUS. Or you can find our website, which is houseofvoodoosanctuary.com. You could also just look up Reptile Rescue in Payson, Reptile Sanctuary in Payson. It will be one of the first things that comes up on Google. We have several different forms of way of donating on our website. The first thing you'll see on our first page is our little video. And then underneath that will be a way to do a one-time donation. And then if you go down a little bit further, we have a PayPal link where you can do monthly donations. And then there are virtual adoptions where people can actually pay or donate $25 a month to virtually adopt one of our animals at our rescue. And that helps with food and medical care and habitat and everything like that. So that $25 a month really does go far to help those animals.
Perfect. So if you're a reptile lover and you want to support the only reptile rescue in Payson, or you're another rescue and you want to kind of get some ideas on fundraising, because you guys have quite a few different methods. So I think that those are really something to kind of pay attention to and look at and adopt and support one another. Because I think the reptile community needs to kind of come together and help each other out. So
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
100% agree. We're all here for the same purpose. I'm actually friends with a lot of reptile rescues. Our team is actually going up to Colorado this weekend to the Colorado Gator Farm during Gator Fest. And basically what we get to do is, it was a really cool idea that Colorado Gator Farm did. They have so many alligators, and it's really hard to medically assess or medicate small injuries on all these alligators that they have. So they have people come up for a big Gator Fest once a year, and they throw in volunteers in the gator pits to go wrestle alligators and help medicate them. And then whoever wrestles the largest gator the fastest time wins like a championship belt or something like that. So it's actually really cool. And our whole team is looking forward to doing that. So we work with a lot of different rescues as well, partners and friends, because we're all here for the same goal. It's not about who's better than anybody else. It's about how we can help these animals.
Help more people, help more critters is the the cornerstone of it. But Victoria, thank you. I know you got to hop off. I appreciate your time. And yeah, keep on keeping on.
Thank you so much. And you're doing a great job, Ranger. Thank you so much for having us on.
Thank you all for listening to today's episode. I think today's episode really highlights the struggles that animal rescues face with the absolute flood of intakes they face on a daily basis. And of course, the classic struggle of having enough funding. It's something that every rescue that I've talked to has struggled with, 1 million animals and not $1 million for sure. So it really just highlights the importance that they face with not only folks taking an active stance in their community and with their own animal husbandry of ensuring that the animals that they have, they're able to properly care for, provide the food, the husbandry, everything the animal needs to live a happy and healthy life, including spaying and neutering at times, but also just the importance of reaching out to local rescues and seeing where you can help, whether it's just $5 or $6 here or there every month, or an hour or two of your time once or twice a week. It really can go a huge way in terms of them helping out these critters and really just being a voice for the voiceless. And I think it also really highlights the resourcefulness that those that run animal rescues and sanctuaries really embody on a daily basis. They're in there in the trenches, making the magic happen with whatever they have and what they're able to pull together to help out these critters. And I'm going to have to look into that ACE Hardware Roundup Fundraiser that they did a little bit more. I think that's a really interesting thing. And that's something that I'm going to take into my future trainings and other nonprofits that I work with in the future. But that's another story. If you'd like to support the House of Voodoo Reptile Sanctuary, please be sure to check out all of their social media and website links in the podcast notes down below. And if you'd like to join a community of entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders working to make the world a better place, please be sure to check out our school community, Never Peak, and all that information will be down in the show notes as well. But until next time, remember to have fun, stay safe, and be yourself. I'll see you all next week. Bye.